Hello, hello, and welcome back to another episode of Make America Think Again with Shanavonn or Car Conversations, depending upon whether or not you can just hear my voice or you have joined me here on YouTube and can see my face. Today, we are going to talk about the rapidly changing events that are happening in DC, the Chocolate City Takeover. Or according to Felon 47, Liberation Day in DC, and there's nothing liberating about it. So let's talk about it. So this morning, Felon 47 made an announcement that the federal government is taking over Washington, D.C. Now, here's what you need to know specifically about how he can do it. The how is DC is not a state, it's a district. So it makes it kind of easy for him to just take over DC. Also, White House is there, government's there, et cetera, right? So that's why DC is the first target for this. Now, he listed other cities. He definitely listed sanctuary cities, only cities that are in blue states, as well as, them being next on the agenda. But for right now, the concentration is on DC. Another thing about DC is that what they have done so far in this moment is taken over the DC Police Department. He has deployed, I believe, around 1,000 members of the National Guard to DC, and then also some, I want to say 200 plus some odd FBI agents to come in and to police DC, basically, because he says, according to him, and these fake ass statistics that he was throwing out there, that DC is just unraveling. DC is just slums and this whole petri dish of crime, according to Felon 47. And we know for sure this is not the case because there are statistics out there. There are numbers. Have you all ever heard the saying, men lie, women lie, but numbers don't? Well, they don't. So here are the true numbers. In DC, in Washington, D.C., violent crime is down or was down 35% from 2023 to 2024. And then from 2024 to 2025 is down 26%. Homicides down by 12%. Sexual assaults down by 49%. Assaults with deadly weapons or aggravated assault down 20%. Robbery down 28%. But somehow, some way, Felon 47 and his regime have found a way to justify what they are doing today. And in true fashion, or just, how they typically operate, their MO is to choose and select one incident, one isolated incident, and then perpetuate this whole narrative to justify what they wanted to do anyway. Okay, so what they're using now in this moment is that their guy, Big Balls, y'all remember Big Balls from Doge, apparently Big Balls got attacked on the street and got beat down. Big Balls caught a beat down by a 15-year-old girl on top of that, according to reporting. So they are so butthurt behind Big Balls being attacked. I don't know if it's carjacking, robbery, or whatever. And they're using this one isolated incident, just like they used the isolated incident of, Ashley Babbitt, one of the January 6ers that was killed by the Capitol Police because she was breaking into the Capitol. And then they also, always trot out this one mom for this or this one mom for that. So it was Ashley Babbitt's mom, and then the mother of the young lady who was, I'm going to say allegedly. I'm not going to say allegedly because I believe this person was convicted, but I never felt like this person couldn't even speak English. Could they even understand, reading their rights and all? They did. Anyway, they always, trot out the mother of the young lady who was killed by an immigrant allegedly killed by this immigrant, Rachel Morin, in 2023. So they use these one isolated incidents to justify what they already want to do. Okay, so why do they want to do this, and why is it happening right now in this moment? Number one, for Felon 47, y'all know what it's about. It is about to escape and to not have to talk about and to help or try to move people beyond the Epstein files. That's what it is about him, for him, is to try to move people on from the Epstein files, because people are not moving. His people are not moving. So he's got to throw them some red meat. He's got to, like, all things racism are like catnip to the MAGA folks, right? So you get up there and you list these major cities that are in blue states that are liberal or mostly blue, Democratic, and then also their mayors are African American. They are predominantly the demographics are, Black and brown people, majority Black and brown people. That's like candy to his base, right? So they had to do something. He wanted to do something specifically, I'm quite sure, but his administration needs to throw this out there to try to move the MAGA people off the Epstein case. That's why we should stay on the Epstein case. And also, let me say this. We should all be asking, what in the hell is in these files? What and who in the hell is in these files? This must be some very vast, broad ring of individuals for them to go to these links to stop people from talking about it and asking about it. You have to think to yourself, who and what is in these files? Like, how big is this? And did it die with Epstein, or did it continue? Are people actively involved in this this sex trafficking ring? Because every day they are trying to find something new to move you on. Okay, let's move on to the next thing. And it's not working, because every day you make yourself look more and more guilty. Let me give you another example. So today, a federal judge ruled that the Supreme Court, I'm sorry, the grand jury transcripts. Remember the grand jury transcripts that I told you it was a farce, it was a decoy, it was a smoke and mirrors thing that this administration was throwing out just to, kind of try to appease their base momentarily, because there's nothing new in it. There's no new information in the grand jury transcripts. And a federal judge just came out today and ruled against releasing it, because he said there's nothing to see here. There's nothing new to see here. So the only thing it would do by him releasing the transcripts would be to basically reinforce the fact that this regime, Felon 47 regime, is just trying to give you nothing, another nothing burger, just like they gave those people when they showed up to the White House for that photo op with the binders. We got the Epstein binders, and there was nothing new in the binders. All that shit you could Google and was already online. So the grand jury transcripts are the same thing. So you had a federal judge today saying, no, I won't release it, because no one's going to learn anything new. This was all a farce. It was all a ruse. They lied to you once again to try to get you to move on. So here we are today with this whole big takeover of DC, and it is yet another ploy on the regime's part to get you to focus on something else, in my opinion. I believe it's twofold now. So that is the Felon 47 and the regime's agenda, but also you have white Christian nationalists. For them, this is a real takeover. This is what they've been planning for 50 years. They want to take over all of America. They want to make America all white, Christian, heterosexual, male, dominant. They want women to be submissive. They want women to return to a position of ownership, where they own the wives. No voting rights, no working outside of the house. All the things that I talked about in Project Esther. If you didn't watch that video, please go watch it. This is phase 2 that we're seeing. We're already seeing phase 2 6 months later. So the things that are outlined in Project Esther for women, that's what the white Christian nationalists want to see in this moment. Excuse me. Felon 47 wants you to stop talking about Epstein. And again, I'm going to keep saying this until we have the proof and the evidence, but I guarantee you, he is not being this adamant about just himself being exposed or revealed. That's why I'm saying in this moment, we should all be asking, just how wide is this network of people that have been involved in this child sex ring that was connected to or began with Epstein? Hell, it might not have even began with him. But one thing I know is it's looking like it might possibly have continued after him, and it might be currently still happening. And so you have all these pedos walking around in plain sight, afraid that they are going to be exposed. So I gave you the crime statistics in DC. So you know that they're lying about that. Their crime is not up. He went on and on with all these incendiary terms that he was using for young people in DC. He said DC is full of slums. He said there are violent gangs, there are bloodthirsty and wild youth, drugged out maniacs and homeless people, caravans of mass youth that are roving thugs, people are getting savagely beaten by a band of roving thugs. DC is a horror show. And then his, usual, you're going to get raped, killed, shot, all that sort of stuff. He's been saying the same shit since 2015. I don't know if y'all track him, but he's been saying the same shit since 2015 about anywhere that's blue, anywhere that's predominantly, the demographics are predominantly Black and brown, any city or state or governor or mayor that goes against him or he doesn't agree with, they get all of these incendiary terms. All of them. I'm just trying to see if there's anything else I left out. He brought up no cash bail. I wanted to touch on that for a second. So he brought up no cash bail. And they're saying, oh, all these young people, all these youth are getting this no cash bail situation. And that's what's happening in DC. Here's the problem for them with that. People are getting released and you don't have to, like, if you are of meager means or you're poor and you can't afford the bail money, typically they have to stay in jail. They can't get out because they don't have the bail money. Well, with no cash bail, you go to court, go in front of a judge, you get a date and you're released. And it doesn't depend upon your release does not depend upon your economic status, is what I'm trying to say. And that is problematic for all of these millionaire and billionaires that own these private prisons. It's economically, I don't want to say challenge, but it causes an economic problem for counties and states because they aren't collecting those dollars off of these bodies that they are locking up. That's their problem with no cash bail. They got the same problem out here in California. They want to bring it back because people are making less money because the no cash bail situation. So that's why he brought that up. But he was going on and on about young people and youth and roving thugs. And it was a lot of concentration. And then he threw trans people in there. Like trans people are just minding their own business and they get thrown into everything, right? Even though they're only like, what, 1% of the population. So the focus, what I could hear when reading between the lines and what he was saying is the unhoused, homeless people, unhoused people, and young people. And young people, they have a problem with young people because young people are protesting in the streets. And they don't want anybody going up against them. They don't want anybody speaking out. So they want to stifle those voices. So that's why I believe the focus in his conversation today, or this press conference today, was on youth and young people. And then unhoused people, honestly, I believe he just finds it offensive as he roams around or drives around town with homeless people. I believe that's probably what his problem is. And then they're talking about drugged out and all these sorts of things. But from what I could tell, and from what has been said, he has a problem when he is, in the beast and roaming around DC. He has a problem with seeing homeless people. So he doesn't want to see homeless people. He don't want to see unhoused people. So they're just going to scoop them up off the streets. And then where are they supposed to go? They don't have a home. That's why they are there. If they had the money, I'm quite sure the majority of them would not live on the streets. So what's going to happen to them? Yes, detention centers. That's what's going to happen. They're going to put them in the detention centers or these concentration camps so millionaires and billionaires can make money off of their bodies, whether they're getting paid from the government to house them there or they're contracted out to work. That is what's getting ready to happen with those people. And again, he's talked about, oh, well, DC is just our first stop. Just our first stop. He mentioned Chicago, he mentioned LA, he mentioned Baltimore, he mentioned New York, he mentioned Oakland, all of which have Black and brown mayors. I think all have Black mayors. Yes, all currently have Black mayors. Now with New York, he's buddy with the mayor of New York, current mayor. But if Mandani gets in office, then they're going to have a problem. Then he's going to have a problem with Mandani, not the opposite way. So yeah, he mentioned New York. He's like, oh, New York, we kind of have a situation there. And I know that ambiguity with New York was connected to the current mayor, who he's buddy with, and what happens next. If Cuomo gets in, oh, he'll be perfectly fine with New York. Trust me on that. So again, this is another distraction for him, his regime, but then you also have the agenda of the white Christian nationalists and where they're trying to take this country. And also, I want you to keep an eye on this one pastor. His name is Doug Wilson. He's a pastor of, Christ Church, but he's a white Christian nationalist, and he's getting a lot of attention right now because of his teachings and the narrative he's perpetuating in regards to women and families. And then also he just opened a church where? In DC. In DC. He's based out of Idaho. Yeah, but he just opened a church in DC. So let me just give you kind of some of the things that he is espousing, the narrative he's promoting. He said that women are the kind of people, I'm paraphrasing here, this is not word for word, but women are the kind of people that people come out of. And it doesn't take any talent to do that. That's what he thinks of women. That's the worth of women, according to this pastor, this Doug Wilson person. He said that women are expected to submit. They want to get rid of or appeal the 19th Amendment, which takes away voting rights from women. Women should not be able to vote. They also should not be in any leadership roles. They shouldn't be in the military. He also goes on in another sermon that I saw a piece of, that young girls should not tempt men. They should be taught to adorn themselves modestly and to not send mixed signals by the clothing that they wear. So basically, victim blaming, any woman, young girl or woman who is victimized sexually. That is what this pastor is promoting. This totally aligns with Project Esther. Again, please go watch that video. I already did a video on Project Esther, and also a person in DC who he's linked onto or latched onto or espousing this pastor's narrative is Pete Hegseth. So keep an eye on that. How is Felon 47 able to do this? There is an act. Let me find that because I want to make sure that I give you accurate information. What is this act? Where is it? Where is it? The Home Rule Act. So the Home Rule Act, again, I already told you why it's easy for him to do this in DC, but basically the Home Rule Act says that the federal government can come step in, take over, police department, etc. If there's an emergency situation that a city basically cannot handle. So if you remember back during 2020 with the George Floyd protest, he was Felon 47 was president at that time as well, and he wanted to go into Minnesota and actually use this Home Rule Act, but decided against it. So now that nothing is happening, there's no big protest happening in DC. There's no big groundswell, unfortunately, from Americans right now with everything that's happening. But right now is when he decides to use the Home Rule Act. And let me say this also. The Home Rule Act, he can only engage or enact it without Congress's approval for 48 hours. Okay, Congress has to approve this. So unlike in 2020, Congress is in recess right now. So we got to watch this over the next couple of days, because how is Congress going to approve this if they don't come back until, I think, after Labor Day? So he's not supposed to be able to do this without Congress's approval, and up to 48 hours, yes, without their approval. So I don't know if they're going to call some special session, bring them back. But right now he's doing this, his administration is doing this without Congress's approval. What else did I want to share with you? What else? I think I have covered everything, and I don't want this one to be too long. But what's next? What do you think are the next steps here? Next steps, I believe that this is going to be connected to what they're trying to do in regards to rigging the 2026 election. So you have right now, we have our Democrats in Texas. They have left the state of Texas to break quorum, right? So Texas cannot gerrymander. That's one way that they're trying to steal the election. And this will be another path to them stealing the election. If they can get into all of these blue cities and take over these blue cities and have military post all over the place, it is not only going to, I guess, scare people out of going to vote, but it could also, they could go a lot of different directions with it, with having a military presence, a presence of the National Guard, and then also taking over these police departments. So I believe this will directly be connected to the 2026 elections and what they're trying to do in regards to the midterm elections. I also, secondly, believe that this is part of the white Christian nationalism, Heritage Foundation, all those folks trying to take over America as a whole. This is on the path of what they have been trying to do for the past 50 years. And then my last thing I want to say to you is, where's JD? Where is JD Vance? Where is JD Vance? As a matter of fact, I saw a posting today about how long he's been, or how many days of vacation he's already taken. So JD Vance has vacationed 7 out of the 8 months that he's been vice president. 7 out of the 8 months that he's been vice president. So you have Felon 47 who's golfing all the time, and JD Vance is MIA all the time. And honestly, I don't believe that he's vacationing. I believe that he's in training. I believe that he's in training to take over the Oval. Once they have enough of Project 2025 in place on the federal level, take over, and then on the local level, state levels, they can start implementing Project Esther. I believe that is the plan. And I believe that's why JD Vance is, even today, you saw a lot of people standing behind Felon 47, but who you did not see was JD Vance. Where is he, and what is he actually doing? That's what we need to be asking. We also need to be asking, how vast is this network of pedos and this whole sex network? How vast is it? How big is it? How many people are involved? Did it continue beyond Epstein? Is it still currently happening? Because these people are going to great lengths to get you to stop talking about it, and stop inquiring about it, and stop trying to investigate it. And we really need to be asking why.